Evening, everyone. Welcome to the Joint Transport Board meeting. If your fire alarm is activated, please vacate the offices via the stairs opposite the lifts in the foyer. Please do not use the lifts. Assemble in Hawley Square on the green, and officers will assist you and advise when it is deemed safe to return to the chamber. Please can everyone present please ensure that their mobile phones are switched to silent and that they are not used to make or receive calls in the chamber whilst this meeting is in progress. I would advise that if filming takes place, anyone in attendance in the public areas may have their image captured. I urge anyone filming proceedings to avoid filming members of the public, particularly if there are children present. Does anyone intend to film the meeting? I don't think so. Do any members wish to speak under 20.1? Nope. So I will be... Did I do this in the right order? Yeah. Yeah. I'll be amending the order of the agenda for tonight's meeting. I'll take agenda item 6, parking and waiting review, after item 3. So apologies for absence that we have are Councillor Nixie, sub by Councillor Matterface, Councillor Trevor Shonk and Councillor Terry Mole. Is there any other apologies for absence? No? Are there any declarations of interest? Do members agree that the minutes of the Joint Transportation Board meeting held on the 16th of December 2025 be approved and signed as a correct record? Can I please have a proposer? Harry Scobie. And a seconder? John Crittenden. I don't know how to say your name, I'm sorry. Do members agree?
Agree.
So, on to agenda item 6, which is the parking and waiting review in Thanet. The board is asked to consider the responses set out in Annex 1 of the agenda report and make recommendations in relation to each proposal. Do we have any comments? No? Do you want to come in, Penny? Bryn? Bryn, who doesn't have a name tag, but it's Bryn.
Thank you, Chair. I'm Bryn. I'm the Senior Parking and Policy Engineer for Thanet District Council. So following on from the amendment to the TRO that was brought before the board in December, we received some comments back from 2 areas within the amendments that were proposed, one for Botany Road in Broadstairs and one for Canterbury Road in Birchington. As you'd have seen the comments that came back, we are then looking at the recommendations on both of those areas. So the recommendation for Botany Road is to remove the proposed restriction from the TRO amendment and to further investigate alternative options based on the feedback that was provided from the consultation. And the recommendation for Canterbury Road is to remove the proposed restriction from the TRO amendment and to take no further action in that area.
Thank you. Any comments or responses from that? Joanne?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for that. I just want assurance really just for Botany Road. So obviously we had 12 responses and 8 of those were objections. Obviously that's a very problematic road. So it's good to know that you're not just stepping away, that you are still exploring other options. And I just sort of wanted clarification really about what those options might be. Is it a resident parking permit scheme, or what kind of things are you thinking of? Thank you.
So there's a few different options that we might consider following the responses that we received. So the residence permit zone was one of the options that was put forward in the comments from the consultation. So we will look at that as a possible option. Other comments we received were perhaps to reduce the amount of time that the restriction was enforced for. So currently it was going to be from April to September. We will consider whether or not it would just be for the month of August instead, maybe, as that would be less time. Also, we may look to not have it as a whole week restriction, we may look to have it as a restriction on weekends only, maybe, because we need to obviously take into consideration the comments we received, especially about people's visitors, carers, coming in. So we need to look at all of the options that we can look at to make sure it's a viable and workable option for the residents of Botany Road, and also the surrounding roads like Knockholt Road and Percy Road as well, Percy Avenue as well.
Thank you. That's really good to hear. And just what's the process sort of going forward? Will there be another consultation? Are you sending letters out to all of the residents along Botany Road? What's the next step? Okay. So
it will need to go out to consultation again. So once we've had a look at what we think would be the preferred option out of the possibilities, we'll send that out to consultation, and we would follow the usual process that we use for consultations. So notices will be placed on the street. Notices will also go into KM Media as well, and it would also then be published on the TDC website at the same time.
Thank you.
Councillor Matterface?
Chair, I'd just like to ask, we're already halfway through March and you were talking about maybe August. So are you looking at this August? Have you got time to get the proposals through, or are you looking at next year? Or is it just depends how it goes?
So the plan is to do another round of new restriction requests that we have that are pending at the moment, which I would be looking to hopefully bring towards the board in the June meeting. And then that way we'll include what we've decided to pull forward into Botany Road in that meeting as well, if possible.
So just for clarity, we won't be able to get it in place for this summer.
That was the question I was asking, actually, Penny. Yes, so we've got another summer of complaints, parking rage and issues on the Palm Bay estate and issues in Percy Avenue, and then into Fitzroy and Kingsgate, which of course they have private parking. So we're looking at next year then, basically.
So this proposal was for this summer. The residents obviously don't want it, so we'll then have to look at others for next summer.
The fact they don't want it and then they're going to come back and complain is a bit of a catch-22, really, isn't it? Yeah, thank you.
Any other comments? Do councillors wish to endorse the approach as recommended that the proposed restrictions for Canterbury Road, Birchington and for Botany Bay be amended to reflect the concerns raised in the consultation at Annex 1? Can I have a proposer? Yeah. Councillor Finch. And a seconder, please. And Councillor Henderson. Do all councillors agree? Thank you. So now we're moving on to agenda item 4, which is the bus provision in Thanet, Kent's bus service improvement plan and future investment report. We don't have any KCC councillors here officers to introduce it. Is there any comments on the report? Councillor Matterface.
Thank you, Chair. I have got some notes, if you would indulge me. I came this evening by bus because I could, but we have many residents in Thanet who don't have that option anymore, since routes were either removed completely because the subsidy went, or they're so restricted they have no bus outside certain limited times. I've read the report carefully and I note it's to go to the government by next week, so we're getting this quite late for discussion, but I would like on record some of my comments. KCC has a duty to consider funding for what are determined as socially essential services. Unfortunately, the report doesn't really give us much clarification about what they mean by socially essential, but I would consider that is areas where people literally have no bus. And that covers quite large areas of Thanet, including Broadstairs and parts of Ramsgate, and obviously out in the rural areas. This BSIP, Bus Service Improvement Plan, is intended to, I quote, to plug the gap where there's no subsidy. But Thanet, out of the 23 million given by the government last year, got 500,000. So my question would be, why did we get such a small percentage of what was being on offer? And in the next round, it doesn't look like we're going to get a huge amount either. So obvious question to go back to KCC is, why are we getting about the poorest contribution? I've got some statistics which are interesting. They're taken from the most recent census, but my own experience will back this up, as my other colleagues. 20% of Thanet residents have no access to a car at all. The lowest quintile, the bottom 20%, 40% have no access to any car or any van. Therefore, they are entirely dependent on getting on a bus. They need a bus to get to work. They need a bus to get to education, to get to school. We have youngsters who can't get to Canterbury to do college courses because they simply can't get there. Broadstairs and Ramsgate have no daytime bus except outside commuter times. Margate, interesting, has 4 buses an hour. But if you want to go to Canterbury by bus, you have to get a bus to Westwood Cross, a bus to the Wheatsheaf, or get a bus into Margate. So, which is obviously adding a lot of time. KCC is getting 14 million each year for the next 3 years, which obviously works out at some 42 million pounds. And I would like to ask our KCC colleagues behind us how much of that we are going to see, because my observation is that a lot of this bus service improvement plan, which sounded great. I went to a stakeholders lunch in Canterbury in December 2024 and told the regional manager at the time, I'm really sorry, I've got to leave before you finish because you've cut the bus and I've got to get a train. He talked about Thanet Superbus, which is mentioned in the report, and I thought, this is great. We're going to get this fantastic bus. What we actually got were 2 build-outs, one in North Down Road, opposite Tesco's, to make the loop more efficient, and one in Ramsgate. But what we appear to be getting, having read the report, is we're going to get some new bus shelters. That's great. Quite happy if I'm waiting for a bus, there's a bus shelter, because there wasn't this evening. But to be quite honest, people who live in Broadstairs, who haven't, like Dumpton Park or parts of Kingsgate, they would much rather have a bus. They wouldn't mind waiting in the rain if there's no bus shelter, but they would like bus service. So my question to go back to KCC from this report is, when are we going to get some investment in bus services, not just in bus improvements? Thank you.
Are there any other comments at all? I've got some notes of things I wanted to bring forward to the officers. So I asked for this report off the back of the FOI that we received about the really low amount of funding that Thanet have received of the central government funding. And I understand previously there's been some restrictions around what it could be spent on, which is why there's been build-outs and shelters. But from the announcement in 2025, it says that will give councils the freedom to spend their allocations in whichever way they see fit, whether it's lowering the prices of fares, introducing new routes and zero-emission buses, or creating safer bus stops. And just to reiterate some of the stuff that Councillor Matterface has said, really, that only 2 bus services connect Thanet with other districts. Some of the buses only run between 2 and 6 times a day. There's only one route which goes through Dane Valley, which is an area where I would say it's socially essential for there to be a bus service. None connect to the Thanet Parkway station, and there's no longer a direct way to get from Ramsgate or Broadstairs to Canterbury on the bus. I think the report is overly reliant on the success of the loop service, which is an amazing service, but it doesn't loop the whole of Thanet. So it's no good to people that live in Birchington, that live in Cliffs End. So we need to see that money invested in new routes. So we need a clear plan on that. I also have had an email from Peter Osborne saying that there's going to be a prioritisation process about how that money is spent. So my question is, how is the Joint Transport Board going to be involved in the decision making on that, not just receiving a report which we can comment on or question? We need to be directly involved in how that money is invested as experts in the wards. Councillor Matterface, yeah.
Well, I did ask a question at the last full council. We used to have a Thanet Quality Bus Partnership. It's slightly different now, and it involves officers, not councillors. But the Thanet Quality Bus Partnership was great because it brought together highways officers, because it was obviously highways a major issue when it comes to buses. It brought together planning, it brought stagecoach in, and I always remember that one of the stagecoach reps, he actually drove the 8A in parked it at Westwood, got the loop, and then when he finished the meeting, went back, picked up a bus, because obviously he's still got his license, and went back. He said, I'm a bus person. I'm passionate about buses. But unfortunately, that doesn't seem to have gone all the way through. But you're absolutely right. We need to have some input, because we're building or giving planning permission for large estates. And there is, it says, I think for the one for Birchington, and Councillor Dawson will perhaps correct me if it did say that there was Stagecoach committed to a bus service for 3 years, but there was no clarification what happened after that. I don't know if you know more than I do. But yes, we need to have some input into this. Otherwise, as somebody in Dumpton said to me after they lost the 33 bus, they said it's like living in permanent lockdown. We just can't get anywhere unless we go by taxi.
Yeah, Councillor Garner.
Thank you. You won't be surprised to hear that I entirely agree with you. We need to be engaged with we need to secure more funding spent in Thanet, and we need to be engaged on. And if we are properly engaged on, one of the things that many of us, I'm sure, would agree that we do need is a bus service between Broadstairs and our new health hub at Westwood. There's I was speaking earlier about it, the parking, transport issues around the area have increased incredibly. And it's a nightmare around there. We need new buses that need to deliver people to and from the health hub. It would help with the rush hour and school drop-off congestion as well. But I'm sure we can all come up with lots of examples of things like that.
Was raised at planning. There is no bus from Broadstairs other than the 37, which is subsidised, one of the subsidised routes, and that's only 4 times a day. So if I have an appointment there and I can't access a driver, I have to walk, which of course is not a problem for me because I'm fit, but it's not great if you're unwell, if you're very, very elderly, or you're pregnant, or you've got small children tagging along, or you've got a leg injury or something. Yeah, but I agree with that.
Yeah, Councillor Henderson.
Thank you very much. I've certainly been pushing hard for what I think is the same as little unfairness to our area. I have been obviously supporting anything that's very loss-making is a difficult thing to do, which is why especially any services that are less loss-making now, if they were reinstated, is something that I'm pushing for, especially the number 9 service, where I have in the last few days spoken to Highways that I think maybe Manston, now that it's starting to have a lot more industry there, and there's a lot of prospective industry wanting to move as well to Manston, that maybe that service could be reconsidered. So I have been pushing for that in the last few days. And then we all know, obviously, that if the North Thanet link comes in, there will need to be a complete rethought about the structure of the whole bus service around our area. So yes, just to say that yeah, we have to be careful about supporting industries that are losing money. But I have been pushing that we recalculate where passenger numbers could be, and also obviously we're having a lot of house building happening, so passenger numbers are constantly changing. So I have been pushing for a recalculation. Thank you.
Councillor Matterface.
Well, I mean, there are only 4 routes that don't have any kind of subsidy, but isn't the answer that KCC, thinking about socially essential services, should revisit subsidies? I use the 37 because it's a quick way to Westwood Cross. That part of that route, the 35, has a subsidy. The rest of the route, I don't think has. But, you know, if a route is considered central, that bus is busy because it's the quickest way from parts of Broadstairs to Westwood Cross. You don't have to go on the loop and take 40 minutes. But could you not examine the role of a subsidy? A loss making, I understand, obviously, but a subsidy can offset that depending on the restrictions that you are facing, obviously.
Thank you. Do you want to come back?
Yes, thank you. Yes, indeed. Obviously, this area has a huge amount of NEETs that perhaps with better buses would be employed. So I'm pushing on all socio-economic improvements to this area that could come from your suggestion.
Thank you. I've also submitted a proposal to officers at KCC about improving bus routes to Manston. I was approached by some businesses at Manston Business Park. So we've submitted a proposal which they've said that they will consider about increasing bus routes because, yeah, it's not very well served at all. And there's, as you say, high unemployment here. So we need to be getting people into work. Is there any other comments or queries? No. Can councillors please note this report? So agenda item 5 is the KCC Highways Work Programme. Does anyone have any comments on the Highways Work Programme? Yep, Councillor Crittenden.
Chairman, just about thanks really. I don't know whether you had anything to do with it, but you may remember at our last meeting I brought up the subject of the road between Minster and Cliff's End, which is substantially used now more than ever with the new developers and so on and so forth. It's good to report that they've actually not resurfaced but done some major repairs right the way through. So if you would pass on our thanks, it would be helpful and useful. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Garner.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd like to raise what's now perennial subject of the Ramsgate Road Bridge in Broadstairs, which it was damaged on the 3rd of September 2022. So it's 3.5 years now. There's been roadworks there. Now we've had various updates from various people on various times, and it seems there's been one of the major issues, by the sound of it, is the lack of ability of both Network Rail and KCC to talk to each other and come to agreements about what weekends they can do any work. Now, I understand that there is a weekend now planned, as it says in here, in April, to remove the bridge. But I've been told by KCC Highway, or the people responsible for this, they've contracted with an HTMC. They've got a maintenance contract. They put a 3-year contract together with them to design and build a new bridge. Now that contract runs out in April 26. This has taken so much time that they've run out of that contract, so they'll be able to take the bridge off. But it's almost starting again now to get another pedestrian bridge built and designed. Hopefully, the design that's been agreed already will be. So can we, as a joint transportation board, urge as high a priority as possible that Network Rail and KCC talk to each other, agree something? I mean, residents around there are actually getting quite used to and now quite liking the temporary traffic lights, because some of them are anyway, because it's actually a little bit safer. But something needs to be done, and we can't. It's almost like they're trying to tick it over so as the new unitary authority can sort it out. And this isn't blaming one or the other. People just need to talk to each other and get it sorted. Thank you.
Councillor Dawson.
Thank you, Chair. There's a few things that I wanted to speak about, actually. I'm going to do it quickly, though. So I've noticed along the Nash Road near the new housing estate, the speed limit is 60 miles an hour, and it goes not short distance to a roundabout. The houses have got like little fences around them, but why 60 miles? That really does need to be looked into. So I'm hoping, we haven't got a KCC officer here. So how is this information going back? Do you actually send it back? So and I've been noticing the speed limit changes along the Hayne Road as well. They go from 40, I think, to 60, then to 30. It's so confusing. So that's one thing. And the other thing is along the A299 Hengist Road, which is from the Moncton roundabout coming to Ramsgate, there is absolutely no streetlights. And we've recently had fog that looks like pea soup and you can't see anything. I mean, it's so dangerous. So can you raise that as well? Because we do need streetlights there. It's like similar to the other roads. It hasn't got anything. And the other thing is that Birchington Parish Council have been trying to contact KCC about massive potholes that are all around the car park in Alpha Road and the approaching roads. And KCC is saying it's not their road and TDC is saying it's not their road. But there have been some research into this, and there is a traffic regulation order on that road under the Traffic Regulation Act, which the parish council believe must be KCC if it has that. So they really do need, because when they go on to sort of like report these potholes, the system comes up with not recognised. So they're not really getting anywhere, and it is a sort of, Birchington is very elderly, so you're going to have people falling down the potholes, and so if that could be drawn to the attention of the officers, be really appreciative. Thank you.
We'll pass that on. Thank you, Councillor Matterfee.
Got a query on this report. Road asset renewal schemes, 255 Broadstairs Road under Ramsgate, Westwood Road roundabout to Edge End Road. Well, that's the Broadstairs Road, Councillor Garner, isn't it? But I wonder why it says Ramsgate and it's said to be programmed. So what they did do on that road was a bit of patching, but could we perhaps say for accuracy, the 255 Broadstairs Road is actually in Broadstairs, not Ramsgate? Westwood Road roundabout to Edge End Road is a bit down past Charles Dickens and Dean Court, so it's definitely Broadstairs Road to be programmed at some point. So it's that's a point of accuracy.
Any other comments? Oh yeah, Councillor Finch. Oh, sorry, I didn't see you.
Yeah, the Broadstairs Road that you're referring to is earmarked to be the very first road under the new budget to be completely resurfaced. Broadstairs Road is the very first road under the new budget that comes out to be completely resurfaced. Well, it will be programmed as soon as the budget is released, and I was told that will be June. No, I'm talking Broadstairs Road.
You're telling me it's being done?
I'm telling you that Broadstairs Road is earmarked to be done in June. June, am I right, June? Oh, certainly.
Thanks, Councillor Finch. Can you turn your microphone off, please?
Sorry.
Thank you. Okay. If there's no further comments, this report is for information only, so can councillors please note this report? Fab, that's everything.